Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. Slightly different one today. Over the last week I've actually been out quite a few times with the camera, but I really just wanted to focus on making images rather than putting together a vlog. But what I did do was from two specific locations. Oh, that sun's getting bright. From two specific locations I did record some footage and obviously made some images. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to intersperse some of that footage into this vlog. I also wanted to take a quick opportunity to talk a little bit about going deeper while also learning to let go. So at the start of the pandemic, I promised myself that I was going to look deeper and closer into certain subjects. Not just accept information as it was spoon-fed to me from the goggle box. And for the most part, that's what I did do. And in fact, I looked at other subjects as well. Climate, the environment, nature, even the political landscape to a degree. And one of the problems I found with going deeper was that you start to uncover other things that kind of frustrate you, perhaps even anger you, and things that seemingly you're not able to change. Injustice, rule breakers, inequality, poverty, climate disaster. Lord, even just starting to think about those things as I walk along this sun-kissed beach get me quite hot under the collar. And the frustration is that a lot of these problems seem too big to even attempt to approach by one person. But as I quite often say to Nicola, she gets quite distraught looking at the cruelty that's going on in the world in regards to dogs. You do something that you can change, and that's one of the reasons why in 2020 we fostered 5 different little dogs at different times. We could make a positive impact on their lives, and so that's what I kind of say to her. And I've kind of got to take a leaf out of that book as well, that while there are much bigger fish to fry, I'm probably not the person to fry them, but I can make some positive changes in my sort of local vicinity. And so that's what I've been trying to do as I've been going deeper. But yeah, going deeper certainly is, I would definitely encourage it. Don't just accept what's, that first headline, but be also prepared to go down the rabbit hole. And it's not always nice down there, but focusing on what we can change as an individual, I think has had a positive impact on me. So before we talk a little bit about learning to let go, let's throw up a little bit of footage from one of the first locations that I visited last week. And this location actually has been made very famous by a little stone cottage that's been built in between some of the rocks. Now, it's a stunning location, unfortunately not very camper van friendly. Lots of signs up in and around the village saying no camper vans between the hours of sort of 8 in the evening and 10 in the morning. Which made it very difficult, in fact almost nigh on impossible to get there with any sort of decent light. But the light actually wasn't too bad on the day that we visited. A few storm clouds, as it has been the case over the last few days, a bit thundery weather moving through. It was a lovely location though. Some fantastic sort of textures in the rock, so getting the old GFX out and playing about with some of the textures and just some of the colour of the water as well was absolutely beautiful. Also, so I'll throw up some of the footage and some of the images from my little bimble out to this location. I'll put a map up here as well to show you exactly where that was. And then once we're finished with that footage, we'll talk a little bit about learning to let go. So learning to let go. There are a number of things out there through life that will frustrate us, even anger us. And I think an important part of my own personal development has been learning to let go. If you remember, during my 30 days creative, one of the days I talked a little bit about how frustrated I was watching a number of creatives using YouTube as a bit of a playground and ignoring rules, recording themselves when driving, using third world countries and their citizens almost as their playground. And this was deeply, deeply frustrating me, angering me. And I just knew, now unfortunately, in some cases that anger bubbled over to me biting, or to me reacting, a comment here, an email there. Now I have since gone back and apologised for biting. Not apologised for my opinion, I think they're wrong. But I believe that this wasn't going to be an argument that I was ever going to be able to win, or was going to be able to change people's minds. But it was still clouding my own mind and really sort of making me quite frustrated and quite unhappy. And so rather than continue to bang my head against the virtual brick wall, I just unsubscribe. Nay, go further and ask YouTube to stop recommending me their content. And in a way I'm sad, because outside of what I believed them to be doing wrong, I was enjoying their content, and so I'm not getting to see that. But it has certainly made me a much less frustrated person, and that can only be a good thing. As you may know, I also removed myself from social media, well, most social media, Twitter and Instagram. And Twitter had just become a complete cesspit of just not very niceness that was really brought to a head whenever people's opinions on NFTs, the for and the against. And this actually led to a pretty unsavoury face-to-face meeting with another landscape photographer back in England. Yeah, quite unsavoury, despite what they may portray to their followers. But learning to let go of social media, let go of things that I cannot change, that were clouding my mind. And I have to admit that since doing that, I have been a much calmer person, a much happier person. And instead using my time, rather than thinking about what the other people are doing and how wrong it is, I'm actually just getting outside and, enjoying myself with the camera, enjoying myself running. And so it's been a really good lesson for me, that as well as going deeper and being more informed, it's also been important that I learned to let go. So the second little location that I visited this past week is probably one of the most incredible landscape environments that I have ever walked through. The rocks, it almost looked unbelievable what I was looking at. It looked some of the rocks just looked like almost they were made out of polystyrene. I'm assuming it's some kind of glacier effect or glacial effect, leaving some of these rocks kind of balanced on top of each other. And then the more that we walked around the actual coast itself, the crazier the landscape became. And I ended up spending 2 or 3 hours, just myself and the camera. In fact, I didn't see hardly another soul, and having a really, really enjoyable afternoon. And it's one of the reasons why, and now I guess it would have been nice to record a full vlog from here, but I just really wanted to have a real focus time with the camera, and so I just recorded some footage, and I'll put that up in a few moments. But yeah, the landscape around there was just beautiful, and it's really interesting to see the difference in the landscape in Brittany, and just where we are at the moment, looking where we're going to be sort of heading around. It looks a lot more sort of rugged and lots of cliffs and things, so looking forward to that over the next week. But what I'll do is, again, I'll throw up a little map where this insane landscape was, and we'll throw up some footage, some images, and then we'll get back at the very last just to wrap things up. Pretty insane. So I guess today's little mini lesson, if you can call it that, go deeper. Don't just take information on face value, but be prepared. The rabbit hole can sometimes be a very frustrating place. And also learn to let go. Whether that's relationships or maybe in something on social media. Learning to let go, I think, has been very beneficial to me and my own happiness, and of course that makes me, I believe, a much more creative person, and it frees up my time to spend outdoors in nature, which of course is where I get my fix for the old noggin. So I'll just throw up a final little bit of footage from that last location and maybe a couple of other images. Hope you've enjoyed this slightly different little bimble today. And once again, thanks a lot for following along. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.